Watch over all of our loved ones who are in harm's way. Be with the elderly, the disabled, those who feel left out and left behind. Please give us wisdom to make the right decision for our people. All these things we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Council. Roll call, please.
Curtis Snell.
Here.
Chris Cope.
Here.
Bill England.
Here.
Bill John Baker.
Here.
Jack Baker.
Here.
Harley Buzzard.
Here.
Julia Coates. Here. Bradley Cobb. Joe Crittenden.
Here.
Jody Fishinghawk. Here. Meredith Fraley. Here. Janelle Fulbright. Here. Don Garvin.
Here.
Chuck Hoskin Jr.
Here.
China Glory Jordan.
Present.
David Thornton. Kara Cowan Watts. John Masters. We have a quorum. There you are. I was looking for you down there. He moved on.
I would like approval of the December 17th regular session meeting and the December 18th reconvened meeting.
So made. Motion made.
I'll second.
Everybody in favor, vote yea.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Our reports, natural resources, Angela Bruce.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, committee members. Have an extremely short report today. You do have in front of you the report for the month of December. If you have any additional questions on what's in there, I'm just going to go over the accomplishments real briefly. We did get the office set up for the caretaker at Saline Courthouse. As I reported to you last month, that gentleman's name is John Osage. He will be opening and closing the gate there every day. He'll be doing light grounds maintenance. He'll be piling limbs and doing things of that nature. We did set up that trailer house that's on the site as an office. We'll be able to communicate with him through fax. He'll be there to provide visitors handouts and things of that nature, so we're really excited about that. One of the things that Councilman Thornton mentioned last month is that there may be some issues with that trailer not having handicap accessibility. We're not promoting it as a visitor's place for them to go to have a restroom facility, but in the event that someone is there and emergency needs to use the restroom, we will provide that for them, but at this point we're not addressing that as a full-fledged visitor site. And we continue to work with the architect on the rehab of the spring house there at Saline Courthouse. We hope to be moving forward on that. Fritz Bailey there at Herb Fritz at the Fritz Bailey Architect Center has been getting cancer treatments and has delayed some of that process, but we hope to be moving forward with that very soon. We continue work at the Greasy Track project. Hope that should be getting wrapped up within the next month or so. We did meet with Sequoyah County Rural Water District number 5 regarding being able to get water down into the open part of Salisaw Creek Park. That is going to be much more costly than we had originally intended, so we'll continue to look at that and analyze it to see what we can do to try and get water there. We have started the clearing project at the Red Gym at Cherry Tree. So the project plan is to get enough clearing done at that site so that there will be a line of visibility from the road all the way to the gym. We have had a lot of vandalism issues there, and some folks burned up a lot of the SIPS panel supplies there. I don't remember exactly how many thousands of dollars worth of materials that were lost, but we are doing some clearing, and then we will also be doing some clearing between the Duck Lane housing project and the ball fields that are back behind there, so that parents that live in that neighborhood can have a better line of sight to the kids that are traveling between their homes and that ballpark. We have been doing some additional cleaning up at Delaney Park. We've been trimming trees and trying to take away broken tables and things. For those of you who live in that area, that really has potential to be a nice park area, and so we're doing some additional cleanup there right now. And that concludes my report, unless you have some additional questions.
Councilman Cobb?
On your balanced scorecard measures, can you just walk me through real quick how you're identifying and Cherokee speakers?
Well, right now, that's why we're not any further along than we are with that right now. We are trying to work with the Speakers Bureau right now in getting some additional names of those folks who are Cherokee speakers. I have some things on the table with Todd right now, some additional ways that maybe we can identify who those folks are without doing anything that would be offensive to those who may come forward, because you know, we did testing of our employees to determine who was fluent and non-fluent, and that's an issue that I think that we will have to be careful with if citizens come forward to say, I'm a fluent speaker, and then us say, well, we need to test you first. So we're in the process of trying to identify that, because that is one of our measures, is to have a database so that we can locate where they're at and be able to call up on them to help with teaching and things of that nature.
Councilman Fisher.
I have you been getting complaints about subleasing go along with tracks in Adair County. What do I need to do with them?
Call our office. Butch Garner is the new field manager for Dahlonega. We have come across some subleasing going on up in Delaware County as well, and we have already ceased some of those leases, and we'll be rebidding those. So call the office. I will get in touch with you and give you Butch's cell phone number, because he will actually start investigating that, and we'll...
And then I had 2 complaints of some other people that was bidding on some same property. The other guy knowing their bid amount. What I need to do is get him to write up something and submit it, because...
Yeah. Just have them contact our office, and we'll get to work on it.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Councilman Igram.
Andy, you was talking about Dahlonega Park, is that Cherokee owned Dahlonega Park? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You own that property?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Kind of curious, I can get you up there in our area to clean up some parks.
Well, I will tell you what happens right now during the winter months. A lot of our projects that we normally do, they're just conservation type projects. If things get slow in the winter, we try and look for projects that we can move on to, and that Dahlonega Park is not far at all from our shop. And so we have a new field manager down there, and I've visited with him about any type of projects that we can send the crews out on to work on during the slower months. So that's one of them that's close to us and affordable for us to go work on. So.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Councilman Cobb.
Yes, Mr. Drews, East Fishing Company just stated that they felt like that somebody had divulged a bid. Could you explain that process to me real quick on that,
How the bid process?
How that could possibly happen? I mean, we have an allegation that, you know, somebody's letting somebody else know what the bids are. Could you explain that process to me on how that could happen?
Well, the only way that could happen is if someone within the program where bids come in was
Right. I mean, how does that? That's what they would
Any-
have to open the envelope prematurely, or
that's the only way I would think that they could know that, because it's a sealed bid process and we're all in the room when those are open. So now, previous years' bids, or let's say that a bid was taken, or a lease was taken away from someone because they were subleasing, what that person had bid for that lease, that's public
Right.
knowledge. But as far as knowing what someone else bid, and that would have to be where an envelope was open prior to a bid opening, and that's not our practice. So
okay.
Any more questions? Adele Angela, thank you.
thank you.
Real Estate Services, Linda Dawson.
Thank
Thank you. Good afternoon, council. Okay, real estate services. Last month for December, it was a slower month on phone calls. We only had about 573 phone calls, and we met with 96 individual clients. We did 32 site inspections, 2 airship inventories were completed, and 9 inventories were completed for probates. We had 6 home visits, 7 jurisdictional calls, 11 white titles. We did 1 will interview, and 5 county researches were completed. One of the other things I wanted to mention was about the Kenwood bids. We have 4 units that are up for bid in Kenwood, and those will be opened on January the 16th at 4 o'clock. So in case somebody knew somebody that is still interested in bidding on those tracts, we still will take those sealed bids. And usually when we get those in, we put those in a locked fireproof vault so that no one else can get into those bids. The Chilocco tracts, there are 9 tracts that are up for bid. 4 of those are trust, the other 5 are on fee land, and those bids will be opened on January the 30th at 1 o'clock. And we're doing both bid openings in the ballroom, community meeting room, so that if anybody wanted to attend, you're welcome to attend on those times. Harley had asked, I believe last time, for a list of what houses, so I'll send around a list for everybody to have a copy of the list on which houses that we still maintain as Cherokee Nation rental houses. We have 3 in Adair County, 1 in Mays County, and 3 in Cherokee County. And so that's a total of 7 houses that Real Estate Services now maintains. Okay, and I think that's all I had.
Councilman Cobb?
Councilman Anglin and I would like to request that meeting with the Assistant Chief of the Delaware Tribe go forward, what we talked about before. And I'd like to see that happen no later than the 2nd week of February, if at all possible. And preferably in Catoosa, if that can happen. You may be aware there's been some circumstances since the last time we talked.
Right, and one of the reasons why we put it off a little bit is because he has 2 other shops that are going out of compliance, and we have currently, we've got appraisals ordered on those, and we were kind of waiting for everything to come together so we can talk to about all the issues. And we should have those soon.
If you and I could get maybe a week's notice on that meeting, that'd be great.
Week notice, and you thought maybe the 2nd week of February?
Well, just by the 2nd week of February, if at all possible. And
Okay.
Catoosa would be preferable.
Yeah, we can probably get a meeting room at their meeting rooms on the Hill. Okay, we can get something set up. Okay. We'll do that.
Councilman Moser?
Yeah, Linda, and you may have said, well, I may have missed it, are all these houses occupied?
Only 1 is unoccupied. The Marcoma farmhouse is not rented. That's the 7th one. But all the other houses are rented out.
Any more questions for Mr. Nelson?
Okay, thank you.
Roads and Transportation, Barry Hood.
Good afternoon. Michael Lynn was unable to be here today, so I get to do this. We have 3 projects currently under construction. Fairview Uchi up in Delaware County is 100% complete. Final estimate and final inspection have been performed. Waiting on a few minor details with the pay estimate to finish that one completely out. Once that job is final out, as far as payment, we'll do a dedication hog fry up there in that area for the community. The Red Barn Road project out here north of town, It is roughly 54% complete. APCO Construction's working on that project, subgrade, base rock, and installing drainage structures. The other project is that Daytown Dry Creek up in Delaware County. It's roughly 16% complete. They've moved off of phase 1 into phase 2 construction. We got hit pretty hard up there with the rainstorms that went through last week, and pretty much trying to dig out and get back to where we were. And that project's progressing real well. Don't have any motor fuels or tag tax projects to report on at this time. It's been kind of slow due to the weather, and that's pretty much about it. Anybody got any questions?
I have questions for Barry. Thank you, Barry.
Thank you.
Construction and facilities, Todd Inlow.
Good afternoon again. A couple of things I wanted to highlight. In our report we submitted, we've got several projects that we're still working on. One of the things I wanted to bring up, we just sent out an announcement about a week and a half ago for the renovations for the Marcoma dorms. That'll be a fairly sizable project that's going to be renovating the boys and girls dorms. We are supposed to do an on-site walkthrough on January 16th with some vendors that have already responded. So that's a fairly sizable project. And then we also released a bid for the road construction at the immersion classroom, which is near the Child Care Development Center. We worked with Roads to develop the specs and all that other fun stuff, and that'll be somewhat of a sizable project as well. In our planning process, starting in 2007, go ahead and stop.
Todd, for what purpose are you remodeling the dorms?
Right now it's going to be for some office space use, putting some staff out there. One of the things that we're looking at long-term is the immersion classroom, that being a long-term site for them. At the growth rate that they are now, the site that we are finishing up in the next couple of weeks will only house them for a couple of years, and then they'll need some additional space. With the dorm rooms, that should give them plenty of space for the next several years. Because right now I believe they go through second grade, and this, we suspect that through fourth grade we can probably house them where they are now, and then we'll be out of space again. So that's,
I can only assume that remodel will include lead-based paint, abatement, all
yes, sir. We have approximately $50,000 that was held in escrow at closing when we closed the Marcoma. We are going to be approaching them to remove asbestos siding as well as tile in several locations, and then the removal of several. It's not a whole lot of lead paint, but there's lead paint on a couple of doors here and there. It's not like everything is coated with lead paint. It's like somebody grabbed a couple of gallons and touched up some doors, and so we have a few areas. But we'll be removing the lead paint doors completely, and completely removing the asbestos siding on the chapel, which is not even one of the buildings that we're going to be using. That the chapel is actually in such a state of repair that we need to demolish it. So we'll be, and we also through the environmental programs with Tom Elkins, we received a Brownsfield grant through the EPA, which helps in cleanup and abatement of asbestos, lead paint, and several other environmental things. And so those $2 leveraged together will help us to at least abate those environmental hazards. A couple of things I wanted to discuss with you. Some of our planning beginning back in 2007 was related to space, and part of that was to work with architects, and I think I told you several months ago that we had selected James Childers Architects to do some of our planning. They are the ones that have actually designed the Salisaw, Nowata, and Muskogee clinics, as well as a couple other historic projects that we've done. They have been working with me on the Veterans Center, and we have initial plan being worked out, and we've met with the Veterans Office. That is actually going to be a project that we're going to get LEED certified, which is an environmental construction green technology standards. They have finished the plans, and they'll be working on the elevations, and I hope to share that with the council next month of the site that we're looking. The site's going to actually be just to the east of the existing Veterans Memorial today, approximately where the tennis courts are. That will be the new Veterans Office, which will contain a hall for assemblies, dinners, as well as counseling space. And the Veterans Office and several of the veterans are very excited about that. We met with them last week. We also had initial discussion with the Tax Commission looking at their building. So we did the initial assessment of what like functions to be close to one another, and we'll be coming up with 4 plans for that in the next couple of weeks. And later on this week, I believe on Thursday, we have a meeting with the Supreme Court justices to discuss their building. And I want to throw out to you as a council that we need to start looking and talking and planning about the council house. And I know we've kind of talked about that a couple of times, but we're getting several of these projects rolling, and I wanted to make sure I laid that before you so we could try and meet with the architects and get some time and get some discussion started on the design of a new council house / council building. The last thing I wanted to touch on were FEMA trailers. It's been around for, seems like, 16, 17 years, and you've heard things about formaldehyde and all kinds of things. These are trailers that were somewhat lauded for Hurricane Katrina and the relief efforts there. There was a lot of trailers that were set aside and to be given to Native American tribes throughout the United States. They held in a selection process. We put in an application for 25, and basically it was going to be a card deal kind of deal. They dealt cards, went around the table, and just kept going around until the trailers were taken up, and we were allotted 12 in this pass. I got notification late last week. We've been working with Community Services, Housing Rehab, the Housing Authority, and Marvin Jones to move those. Even though they're free, we still have to pay for the cost of transportation and setup on the site. We estimate that the cost will be somewhere between $7,800 and $8,800 depending upon the site and the miles driven to pick those up. 8 of those trailers are in Texarkana, Texas. The other 4 are in Hope, Arkansas. They are 3 and 4 bedroom trailer houses. Just some assurance to you, and we're also going to test these. We have the right to accept or decline the trailers that were offered to us. The trailers that were suspected of formaldehyde and tested positive for formaldehyde are RV or recreational vehicles, like a fifth wheel that you would pull up to a campsite near the lake. And they have different building standards than the homes that we are receiving. These are actually HUD inspected and certified housing units, so they're at a higher level of standards. So formaldehyde is not allowed as a material as far as the construction materials. And so we will be doing further inspection on those and checking those out. And again, we have the right to accept or decline those. I'm also checking to see if some of the tribes are unable to pick those up, if there will be a second round of trailer donations given to the tribes that can pick those up. That's it, unless you guys have any questions.
Any questions? Thank you, Todd. We have no whole business. Under new business, land development, David Thornton.
At this time, I'd like to withdraw the new business.
Make a motion.
Make a motion to withdraw.
Second. Any discussion on this? Motion? All in favor? All opposed? Our next regular meeting will be held to February the 11th, 4 o'clock.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
I know we've already moved on, but what about the powwow grounds? If you'll just one moment to update us on the powwow ground.
Yeah, the powwow grounds, we have two projects going on there. One of those is the renovations of the actual bathroom facilities to provide more square footage and more facilities, as well as a changing space. That bid was put out and we got responses back, and I believe it was, our lowest bid per building was $75,000, and we were basically adding somewhere around 1,000 to 1,500 square feet. So our construction costs were way out of line. So we are rebidding that with construction management. And the other thing that we're looking at is an option of just building a completely new facility rather than rehabbing the two existing bathrooms. The other piece of that project for the budget that we have is going to be installing an 8-inch force main sewer from our existing site and taking it up the hill to Sequoia High School. That bid was released, but there was an administrative oversight on that, and we didn't put the linear feet or the quantity, so people didn't know how to bid on that, and as soon as we realized what was going on, we pulled that back, and we'll be re-releasing that bid this week. So that'll also be a fairly sizable project between those two.
And you'll report to us next month on maybe where we're at and what dates for completion we think?
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
any more questions for Todd? Thank you. I need a motion to adjourn.
Make a
So
motion to
moved.
adjourn.
Second.
Second? All in favor? Thank you.